We're not the only ones living in our homes. Even though we spend a fortune keeping our houses clean and secure, Mother Nature always finds a way of getting in.
It's in the jewellery box. That's a whopper.
But not everyone thinks of these animals as pests. To Dr. George McGavin, they're amazing wildlife.
We're used to seeing lions charging after impala. But that is just as interesting.
He's devised a unique experiment so that we can get to know the animals we love to hate. He's going to infest a house with thousands of typical household pests.
Nice infestation.
And leave them to their own devices.
I've been dying to do this for years.
George is moving in too, and over the next month, he'll monitor the animals' behaviour and reveal the bizarre secret life of everything from clothes moths
Yeah, that jumper's ruined.
to carpet beetles.
I'm reminded of herds of zebra grazing the Serengeti. I'm now lying on 3 spiders. Quite tickly, actually.
From rats to bedbugs.
Oh. I'm waiting to feel the first bite. That is spectacular.
Just another wonder of the insect world.
Well, there's probably several nests in the city somewhere. Whoa! This is nuts. Welcome to a unique and ambitious experiment. I'm George McGavin, and all my life I've been fascinated by animals, especially insects. My travels have taken me from the tropical rainforests to dusty savannas, but this time I want to take you on a suburban safari. I want to show you fascinating wildlife right under your nose.
Pests can be house guests from hell. And when they infest your home, it can take extreme measures to get rid of them. In the UK, we spent £360 million last year on pest control. But George wants to do the opposite and keep the pests in.
My team have been under strict instructions to make everything look like a typical family home. The difference with this house is that everything's been designed with the creature's comforts in mind.
It's 100% wool. Anything with wool in should get all like little moths and things like that.
We normally keep pests away by sealing doors and windows and using chemicals and pesticides. But not here.
We've used non-fungicidal wallpaper paste to allow the bugs to actually get into the wallpaper and hopefully breed within it.
George's team have created the perfect breeding ground for the house pests we usually try to keep out.
This is a particular favourite of certain weevils.
The kitchen's well stocked with tasty treats.
Oh dear.
And now it's time for George to move in.
That's my old armchair there. If we just have it there, that would be great. I brought a few things of my own to make me feel at home. We've got Queenie the taxidermy mouse, and over here, my daughter's doll's house. She's now 27, and she doesn't know that I've taken this for a little loan. But with any luck, this might become infested as well.
Miles away, bug breeder Graham has been hard at work for weeks, breeding and prepping the extensive guest list for the house.
All the flies are hatching in preparation.
He's got 20 different species, including rats, mice, and 3 types of cockroach.
We've got the oriental cockroach, which is one of my favourites. It's a gorgeous beastie, and they're breeding incredibly quickly. There's hundreds in them. It's a bit of a dream job because although we breed these in the bug house, taking them to someone's house and letting them go is kind of fun to see where they're going to end up. But there's things like the house spiders. Those you don't get to see into their lives normally, so exciting experiment.
With the house ready, it's time to welcome in the guests.
Right.
Here we go.
Let's get some of this stuff out. Well, this is the big day. We're bringing in all kinds of creatures. Mice, beetles, roaches, flies, spiders. I've been dying to do this for years. I've really no idea what's going to happen, where the animals are going to go, but it's going to be interesting.
All these creatures are typically found in our homes throughout the UK, although rarely all at one time. First stop is the kitchen, the heart of every home, but also a favourite spot for the pests, because that's where we keep our food.
Cockroaches are scavengers, and it's not too much of a stretch to really think of them as the hyenas of the insect world.
And George is about to release 3 species commonly found in UK homes.
Now, when this particular box is open, these cockroaches are going to go and there'll be no getting them back in. So this is a one-hit wonder. This isn't something you would expect to do in a house. The American cockroach is a real chunky beast. It's the biggest of the 3. Look at that.
Next up is the German cockroach.
Very tiny ones here.
Yeah. Look at the speed of that.
That is unbelievable.
The German, although tiny, is the fastest and the hardest to get rid of.
They'll get into all the crevices.
My God, look
Yeah,
at that.
look
It's
at
a
that.
swarm.
And finally, the Oriental.
Now, the Oriental cockroach has a very distinctive smell. You can always tell where that one is. That took about 10 seconds, and now every cockroach has basically vanished. They've all scurried away into little cracks and corners.
Oh, lovely. Look at them
Look
go.
at them go.
Yeah. Nice infestation.
I'm beginning to worry
No,
we've
it's gonna be
released too
fun.
many.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
One's actually gone into my underpants. Not the small one. I can feel it. It's wriggling about. Sorry, I'm going to have to get this out.
George still has several thousand other animals to release into the kitchen.
Well, these little guys are bean weevils, and what they really love to eat are beans. So this is going to be absolute heaven for them. In you go, guys. Bon appetito.
These are the kind of insects we find in our larders. We bring them into our homes in our shopping, or they creep into unsealed packets in the back of our cupboards. To give the infestation a head start, George is adding the animals directly to the food jars.
This is like a cookery class, but really wrong.
He's going to keep an eye on them for the next few weeks to see how rapidly they multiply.
Well, what I'm going to do now is going to create quite a buzz. In fact, it's something I've wanted to do on camera for a long time. Fly my beauties. Here they come. One of the most successful insect groups in the world are flies. They are just miracles of engineering. They're micro-aviators par excellence. Flies will be an essential part of any food chain in a house. They're prey for many predators, and they're maggots, the larvae, break down dead and decaying animals. We did tell the owners of the house exactly what we were doing with it.
I thought you did.
No, I thought you did.
Ah.
Like most living rooms, ours is a cosy place to put your feet up. And the pests enjoy a warm, dry and comfortable habitat too.
We're just about to release rather a lot of mice. Oh, freedom. Come on, you've got a whole house to explore, to make a nest in. Come on. Oh, there you go. That one jumped. Whoa. Oh! I don't know where that one went, but I'm just going to stay still for a minute, just in case. Oh!
The mice are searching for a warm, dark place to hide.
If you'd asked me where they'd go first, I'd have thought under the settee, behind the curtains. Look at that, that's amazing.
I can't step down, they're all on my feet.
They said, "Oh, Johnny, why did you move? We were really comfy there. We were nice and flat." We humans have a peculiar view of the animal world. We like natural history and we like animals, but we want it to be out there, not inside our homes. And when these animals do come and invade our homes, we call them pests. But of course, a pest is just simply an animal that's in the wrong place at the wrong time.
George and his team will track and monitor the animals we call pests over the next 4 weeks and uncover the amazing hidden world in our homes.
I'm going to be very happy here indeed. My hope is that everything else will be happy too.
Time to sit back, let nature take its course and see what happens. George McGavin has released thousands of creatures into a house and they're bedding down nicely. And so is he. Night is when many of the animals are at their most active in our homes, as they use the cover of darkness to hunt for their food.
I can definitely hear noises downstairs.
So while most of us would be hiding under our duvets, George is exploring the house.
Ah. You've knocked over the breakfast cereal, haven't you? Look at you.
The rats are out in the kitchen. But more surprisingly, only a few of the cockroaches that George released are on show.
There's one with an egg case at the back there. Keep your eye on it.
Does the front come off this?
Ah, hold on, look.
Cockroaches normally enter our homes in our fruit and veg or sneak in through the cracks in the walls.
This is actually one of the things that makes cockroaches such successful animals. That little thing at the back end is an egg case. It's called an ootheca. And that contains 18 or 20 eggs. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Laser.
Whoa. No. Right. Oh.
Bring it right up to the lens.
Ignominy of being held upside down with your egg case hanging out your backside. Now that is a real good trick. If you can keep your eggs safe in an egg case like that, and you can choose where to put them, that's going to increase the survival of your offspring enormously. And when these eggs hatch, the time from egg to adult of each of those will be about 120 odd days. And she can produce an egg case probably every other week if it's warm enough and there's enough food. So in next to no time, you're going to have a proper infestation. But I'm still rather puzzled as to why we can see relatively few here. I think they're having a party somewhere, and we're not invited.
But where?
But where? That is the question. There's one here, and my belief is that when you find one cockroach, you're probably going to find more. So there's definitely a couple under that edge there. Shall we have a bet, Johnny? How many are in the bread bin?
10.
10 cockroaches.
At least.
Oh, no, I'm going to say more than 10. I'm going to say 25. You ready? Ready? Whoa! Look at that. Scuttly. How about 100? And that smell. That's unmistakable for that species, Oriental cockroach. It's like it's a combination of mouldy cheese, damp socks. I think that's probably the best I can go with it. At least we know where some of them are. I'm going to shut this down. It's fair to say not many people actually like cockroaches, but you have to admire how adaptable and resilient they are. They can even survive for up to 3 months without their heads, and they'll eat anything, including each other.
So while George goes back to bed, there's a cannibalistic feast going on in the kitchen. In the dining room, George has set up a lab to examine creatures close up, headed by Sarah, a former student of his.
George was my lecturer at Oxford when I was an undergraduate, and then I've carried on working there and bump into him quite often dressed as things like a bumblebee or a cockroach. He's always been fantastic at infusing people about the big, the bad, the ugly of the bug world.
A week ago, George released thousands of beetles into the kitchen. This morning, he's checking on the progress of the bean weevil, which has the fastest reproductive rate in the house.
The breeding output of these animals is quite amazing. If you have 2 beetles, one male and one female, every 21 days they can produce about 80 offspring. If they were to breed continuously at the maximum rate, one pair of these bean weevils could fill the volume of this house in a few months.
So, what's the secret to their incredible sex life?
Good grief!
What you can see here is a male bean beetle penis.
That is spectacular.
It's a heck of a penis. So it's the end of it's covered with spikes.
It's like a sort of a medieval club.
Yeah, and the kind of essentially when he mates with a female, it's called traumatic insemination.
I can see how that would be pretty traumatic.
Yeah, and it really damages the inside of the female, but it also kind of sticks them together. So it's got more likelihood of transferring his sperm into the female.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just another wonder of the insect world that most people have no idea that something like that exists.
That's going to make your eyes water, isn't it?
You can actually see the eggs on the surface of the beans. And when they hatch out, they go straight into the bean, and they basically reduce it to powder.
Insects may be eating our food, but without knowing it, we're also eating them as they hide away in our beans, coffee and breakfast cereals.
Eating insects isn't such a strange thing. Human beings have been doing it for thousands of years. I normally roast them and incorporate them into Bombay mix. Johnny, would you like some? Good man. If you're going to eat them live, it's better to really chew them up, because they can burrow their way through your gut if you don't kill them. Sort of cheesy taste.
Yes, it may look disgusting, but George isn't the only one who thinks grubs make a tasty snack. Fellow insect enthusiast, Chef Seb Holmes, has made a career serving insects a la carte.
Chef Fancy?
You all right, George?
Now, I've been advocating eating insects for quite a while. You're newer to this game, but it looks like you've taken it to a whole new plane.
Yeah. I mean, they taste really, really great. You can turn them into purees, make them into salts, flours.
The thing about insects is they're very abundant. You know, it makes sense. You know, why are we wasting time eating other stuff when insects are actually better value food in many cases, and it's better for the planet to
Much
eat
better
insects.
for the planet. Yeah. That's the thing. I think most people just have this preconception against eating them.
First dish served is grasshoppers battered in sesame tempura. Time to try these dishes on some unsuspecting passers-by.
Come this way. May I offer you a seat?
Thank you.
Now, I could tell you what it is before you ate, or I could tell you afterwards. What do you think?
Tell me
But it is
afterwards.
delicious. After. Okay,
Element of
good.
surprise.
He's also serving sticky crickets in soy sauce.
So what am I having here?
Well, I'll tell you afterwards, will I?
Kind of very savoury.
It's crunchy.
I like it though. At least I think I do.
It's actually a grasshopper.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Thorax is there.
Are those? Oh goodness. Kind of locusty crickets. Didn't have one of those properly then, I think.
And for dessert, a mealworm-covered caramel lollipop.
These are best eaten when they're warm. There we are.
Looks delicious. I'm gonna try a little bit. How's it taste, Susie?
Warm and
Sweet.
crunchy. Sweet, yeah.
It's nice though.
But the main ingredient, which is the bit I like particularly, are mealworms, which are the larvae of a beetle. Look at that.
What's that? Maybe if I ate it with my eyes closed.
Okay.
Not bad.
Would you try it again?
Probably not.
Really nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, now I know what it is, I'm thinking a lot more.
I would actually eat this all day, every day.
Well, so far today, we've had quite a few happy customers in the East End. And it proves to me one thing. Even if you haven't tried it before, you really should, because you might like it.
It's a new day in the house, and everyone's feeling peckish. But mealtimes here aren't confined to the kitchen.
To a large animal like us, this room is quite an ordinary-sized room. But to small animals, like a mouse, it's like a huge playground. And for insects, this carpet is like the rolling savannas of Africa. It's absolutely huge.
Our living rooms may look empty and clean, but if you look closely, there's all kinds of fascinating wildlife to be seen.
These are the larvae of the carpet beetle, and they're called woolly bears. They're the ones that have a voracious appetite. They start chomping away at the glue and the backing, and eventually all the tufts are coming out. They really are dreadful pests, and as a museum curator, I had to battle against them for years because they also eat dried insect collections. I'm reminded of herds of zebra grazing the Serengeti, only this is on a lot smaller scale. They're still pretty impressive, though. And clearly the mice think so, too. They're going to be all over this carpet hunting for beetle larvae. They've got an amazing sense of smell, and they can be trained to detect drugs and explosives.
As the mice have been given free rein in the house, some have chosen luxury living and have set up home in the doll's house.
That is so cute. Oh, sorry, it is. We have a 3-in-a-bed romp here with the mice. What I don't know is where the other ones are making nests. And there's a rather useful trick I can use. This stuff is a special bait block, which the mice find absolutely irresistible. And they eat it, and it has the rather peculiar effect. It's completely non-harmful to them, but it makes their poo glow in ultraviolet light. Mice don't really have much biocontrol, and their pee and poo gets everywhere. It's going to be really easy to track their movements. No, you're not supposed to take it away. No. Leave it! I'll put one over on the table here. So I might as well just put one right in the middle of the biscuit plate. And let me just, I think I'll probably put it there, actually.
During the day, we tend not to see mice in our homes. But what are they up to at night when we're fast asleep? It's been 24 hours since they took the bait, and George is curious to find out.
Right, well, I've got my ultraviolet torch, and this is going to make the mouse urine and droppings and their footprints glow bright green. So if we switch off the lights, straight away we've got urine marks everywhere I can see. The carpet is covered, the sofa is covered. These mice are incontinent. They've urinated on my book, look. The monsters, look. Right, I'm gonna have to not leave my book lying there. Look, don't pee on my book. Cute as they are, mice are pretty good at spreading bacteria around, and with this you see just exactly how easily that happens. I am horrified at just how much urine and droppings there are in this room. Look, oh my goodness. I'll bet you this is the main area. Look at that. I'm pretty certain there's a hot spot of mice probably in the city somewhere here. And I've got one extra trick up my sleeve, and that's a thermal imaging camera. This thing sees the infrared, so the heat signature of anything. And it's so sensitive, if I put my hand just on the surface of the carpet for a few seconds and take it away, it can actually see the heat print of my hand. Now, mice have warm blood, so this camera will be able to see exactly where they are. It's like a beacon. It appears that the mice are nesting inside the sofa. I'm going to guess there's probably several nests in here. Sofas are a really favourite spot because there's lots of stuffing inside. They can build a cosy nest really easily. And they breed pretty fast all year round. They can have 10 families a year with 6 babies in each. And every baby only takes a month before it too can actually reproduce. So that means a pair of mice can give rise to thousands in a single year.
We spend a fortune trying to mouse-proof our homes, but it seems that mice have a magical ability to get in. So how do they do it?
You know, you've been chasing the mice through the house.
Yeah.
You've been wondering where they've been going and how.
Yes.
Right. So we've been in contact with some scientists in America, and they've essentially sent us this fantastic footage. This is a mouse going under a gap of 1 centimetre.
Wow.
And you...
Good heavens.
So this is the first time that we've seen it like this. But what's even better is if we flick to another film where you can actually see the skeleton. The skull can fit, the rest of the body can fit. It can squeeze through a gap that size,
So
like a shot.
you may think your home is secure, but it's like a sieve.
Yeah, exactly.
That's quite impressive, actually. The slippery little devils.
A week ago, George released flies into the kitchen. They've spread into every room, but now they're under the watchful eye of hungry predators, like the giant house spider.
It's in the jewellery box. She's right at the back. She's obviously been eating some flies, and I think they've escaped from the kitchen. I say she because it almost certainly is a female. She's quite chunky. The males tend to be more spindly. And she's made a little retreat there, and she'll just sit there until something comes close. I have to say, there are lots of people who really don't like spiders in their home, but I for one, think spiders are great because they just control all sorts of pests. What would be nice is if we could get her out on top of the web. Probably only get one shot at this. Come on, come on. Oh. I love to see that. I mean, I know it's a shame for the fly, but the thing about watching hunting animals is we're all used to seeing lions charging after impala and stuff, but that is just as interesting, the speed and the accuracy of that spider. Well, she's grabbed the prey, she's impaled it with her fangs, and she's injected venom. Now, the fly won't last very long. She'll then take it down into her retreat. She'll then chew it into little bits, and then she'll suck up fluid, and then she'll expel all the hard bits which she isn't able to eat. In Britain alone, it's been said that spiders eat more insects than all the weight of human beings alive in the UK. That's a pretty amazing statistic.
The daily battle for survival isn't just confined to the living room. George is about to explore the life and death struggles taking place in our bathrooms and bedrooms. It's been 2 weeks since Dr. George McGavin moved into the house and released hundreds of thousands of household pests to see what would happen if they were left uncontrolled. Already the pests have doubled in number and the mice are running riot. But George is yet to have a look at the animals commonly found in our bathrooms.
The bathroom is one of the hottest and wettest places you'll find in the house, and far from being a tropical rainforest, it's more like a stinking swamp. One of the animals that you'll very commonly find in bathrooms are woodlice, and they aren't insects. They are, in fact, much more similar to crabs and shrimps and prawns, and they breathe by means of gills. They have a relatively unwaterproof outside, which means, oh dear, it's gone in the bath. Oh, that should be all right. It should survive there for a while. Looks fine to me. So that is essentially a land-based prawn, if you like, a crustacean. But it's bath time for me, so I'm going to take you out. You can see how it's done.
George is sharing his bath time with another creature he released.
Some silverfish over here on the edge of the bath. Well, that's great. I can now have a bit of a floor show as well. It's sometimes hard to get into your head just how long the silverfish have been around. You might think, were they here with T-Rex or Iguanodon? Yes, they were. They were here 300 million years before then. They were the first animals on land at all, before anything else. Silverfish love starchy glues and pastes, and look what they've done to this book. I remember seeing an etching, a print, where the silverfish had eaten everything except the inks, because it was horrid to taste. And they just made a sort of filigree effect of the etching. And that, of course, can be a serious problem in libraries where you've got damp books.
The silverfish are sharing the bathroom with their insect cousins, the fire brats.
Oh, God, they are fast. Same insect group. They're wingless insects. They're a really, really ancient group. And what really amazes me about them is that they're virtually unchanged in form and function for over 300 million years. They're doing exactly the same thing that they did, although obviously there were no carpets those days.
All these silverfish and fire brats have attracted one of the most feared predators in the house.
Ooh. There is a centipede. Now, centipedes are one of life's more interesting creatures. For a small creature like a fire brat or a silverfish, that would look pretty terrifying as it bore down on it.
Although they're harmless to us, a centipede is actually a pretty fearsome nocturnal hunter. It can run at over 40 centimetres a second, and that fire rat there is going to have to be very lucky or very quick. That centipede clearly wasn't hungry. Because when you look at a centipede up close, you really begin to realise just how ferocious they are.
You can really see poison fangs. They're the first pair of legs that have been modified into these venom-delivering, piercing fangs. And they use that to subdue their prey. I mean, these are killing machines. They'll run towards the prey, and then as they get close, they'll use all their legs to run at speed, pounce, and deliver that venom into the prey.
The venomous fangs of a centipede are no less impressive than the fangs of a cobra. It's just a question of scale.
Do you know how many legs centipedes have, George?
Well, it's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. Our ones in the UK, the one we were just looking at, 30 legs.
30.
And you know, a centipede can never have 100 legs because they always have to have an odd number of pairs of legs, and 50 is an even number.
The largest hunter in the house is the brown rat. And Sarah is travelling to Nottingham to find out if they deserve their bad press.
This is great. It's a hall full of rats, everything ratty.
At the Midlands Rat Club, rat fanciers bring their prized pets for a rat beauty contest.
Lovely heads, a few white toes.
You're going to win, aren't you? Yeah.
It's the perfect opportunity for Sarah to find out why they see rats as pets, not pests.
So who are these?
This one's Banjo and that one's Vito.
Banjo and Vito.
He's 11 weeks old, he's a rescue rat.
Do all your family like the rats that you're keeping?
My parents weren't too sure about it to start with.
Why rats as opposed to any other animals?
Rats give you the same kind of personality as you can find in dogs, but you just don't need as much room to keep them.
They actually clean behind your nails. They give you little manicures.
Blaze, slightly uneven.
This is hardly the image of rats in sewers we're used to seeing.
I want eyelashes like that. How could anyone be repulsed by a rat like that?
Most people say it's the tail that puts them off.
Really?
But really, when they're sitting on your shoulder and they're wrapping that round your neck, it's lovely.
Yeah. They're so beautifully designed.
They are. It's almost they're kind of snake-like, aren't they?
Because they use for temperature control.
They can lose heat through their tails?
Yeah.
So it's like a little ratty radiator.
That's right, yeah.
Rats are highly intelligent creatures with excellent memories. When they come into our homes, this skill helps them find their way around. Now for the main event, the awarding of prizes for Best Rat in Show.
Hannah's just won the Best Adult-Owned Buck Veteran, so she's done really well. Hannah, this is amazing.
It's lovely because he's one that I bred myself, so it shows that I'm breeding lovely pets, which are going to make other people happy.
All these people are bonded by their rats. It just shows that, yes, we may see rats as pests in our homes, but that is not all they are. They're fascinating creatures in their own right.
While some people keep rats as pets, George is more interested in their natural behaviour.
As you can see on the oven here, they're having a whale of a time, picking up all the crumbs.
That rat is really relaxed. He's just sitting there on the oven, on the hob top there.
By the looks of this one, he's found his safe place and he's kind of sticking to it. He's been there for about 20 minutes now and he's not budging.
Most rats enter our homes through drains and sewers, and once inside, they're hard to get rid of. Like any pest, if you leave food lying around, you're more likely to attract them. But the pest we dread the most feeds off our own blood. In George's last week in the house, he'll have to share his bed with some bloodthirsty bedbugs. 3 weeks ago, Dr. George McGavin took over an empty house and infested it with thousands of everyday household creatures. He's been tracking their behaviour around the house, but there's one room that he hasn't explored yet, and it's one of our most sacred.
We probably share bedrooms with hundreds, if not thousands, of small things.
This woodlouse has made an incredible journey from the bathroom all the way to the bedroom in George's slipper. What it doesn't know is that it's walking into a deadly trap. The web of a false widow spider. The woodlouse tries to walk across the spider's web, but it's too sticky. The spider makes sure her next meal is secured by wrapping him up in thread before injecting him with lethal venom. She can leave him hanging for a week until she's hungry, because the web has antiseptic properties. For this reason, spiders' webs were used in the past as wound dressings. False widow spiders originally came to Britain in a crate of bananas, but today they're getting bad press as invasive pests.
No, she really is a very beautiful spider indeed. I think spiders like the false widow really do have an undeserved reputation as being a spider that will bite you. And like all spiders, they don't really want to bite you or injure you unless you give them good reason to. Now, this female has produced 4 separate egg sacs. What would be really nice is if I could prise the silk apart from this last cocoon here, this little egg sac, and actually see all the spiderlings emerge for the first time into their new home. There you are. I have helped to give birth to several tens of false widow spiders. That's a first for me. These small spiderlings will find a home of their own somewhere else in the house.
This spider has been feeding on the most hated pest in the house, the dreaded clothes moth, who munches through millions of pounds of our clothes and furniture every year.
So let's see what's happened to my jumper. Oh dear.
It's only been 4 weeks since George put his jumper in the drawer.
Oh, this is awful. Look, there's a big hole there, right? Look at that. It's not the adult moths, it's the larvae, it's the caterpillars that basically chew the holes. And all it takes is just one moth larva to chew through one fibre, and that's a hole.
The larvae feed on a protein that occurs in natural fibres called keratin, and they spin silk tubes across the wool and can cause absolute carnage as they feed, as they chomp their way through my cashmere. Thank you, moths.
Pests often come into our homes in our luggage, second-hand clothes or furniture. These can hide a very unwelcome guest who can survive for a year without a single meal. The bedbug. Meet Richard, who arguably has the weirdest job in Britain.
Well, it's feeding time, and that means feeding on me.
Richard breeds colonies of bedbugs for scientific research. Incredibly, he lets them feed on his own blood.
I tend to use the feeding time to catch up on my admin, to reply to some emails.
The bugs are visible to the naked eye, but before feeding, they're no bigger than a pinhead. The only authentic way for George to see how bedbugs target and feed on their victims is to use himself as a guinea pig and spend the night with them. So Richard's going to infest George's bed with these blood-sucking vampires.
Right, Richard, come in. How many are you going to put in?
At least several hundred, maybe 1,000.
Lovely, nice. Where's the best place to put them? Everywhere, or
You tend to find bedbugs around the head end of the bed. Bedbugs like to feed on exposed skin around your face, neck.
And that's where I've had them before.
That's right,
Upper arms and on the throat.
They can't really get at you if you're under your covers, so that's where we'll put them.
This.
Bedbugs don't like soft furnishings. They always like the hard cracks and crevices to squeeze into, so I'm going to release them around the bed frame, and they're going to drop around here.
They move quite fast, actually.
They struggle on carpets and things.
This is full-on weird. How many in here? Several hundred?
At least a few hundred in here now,
right.
yeah.
Well, it's time to make the bed. I can't believe I'm making a bed on top of, oh, God, on top of several hundred bedbugs. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
You'd never know, would you?
Sleep tight, George.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Let the bedbugs bite.
Very good. Oh. Can't even look at them. This is quite unusual for me. I love insects, but just look at that. There's it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I think George is going to put on a big, brave face when it comes to sleeping with the bedbugs, but I imagine he will be quaking under that duvet, waiting for the first one to bite.
To monitor the night's events, special infrared and thermal cameras are being installed in George's bedroom.
My senses are really tuned to feeling what I think's just about to happen. I know that I'm sharing the bed with several hundred bedbugs. They use my temperature and CO2 to find me, so they won't take very long at all. So I want to go to sleep, but I'm waiting to feel the first bite. It's almost like I haven't had one yet, but I know it's going to happen very soon. I am beginning to wonder why I agreed to do this, really. Well, I can definitely feel them walking on my skin.
No one wants bedbugs in their home, but the way they feed is remarkable. Bedbugs can suck human blood for up to 15 minutes until they're 6 times their original size. A special chemical keeps the blood flowing and numbs the pain so that the sleeper doesn't know they've been bitten until it's too late.
Good morning. Look at that. It's a bloodbath in here. There's spots of blood everywhere. And there's some very fat-looking bedbugs moving homeward after their night's feasting. And they are insanely itchy.
The bites can take anything from hours to days to react.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 57 itchy red bites.
It's time for George to get his revenge under the microscope.
Oh, look at it,
Well,
look at it. Oh,
fantastic. That is full.
that's my blood there.
So these guys can consume multiple times their body weight. So I guess it's like you having a meal and eating yourself 5 or 6 times over. It just amazes me, really, just what great pests these are, and that they can live sort of hidden in our houses, come out and feed on us at night time and then scuttle away again, and we just don't even know they're there. I think they're some of the pests that I guess I've got the most respect for, just because these are the ones that I would least like to take home with me. Because when they're in your house, they stay.
You respect these?
I respect them.
Yeah,
Do you?
Not anymore, no.
As the 4 weeks of the big experiment come to a close, there have been births, deaths, and the growth of whole colonies in the house. And George wants to have one last look around.
What's particularly spectacular are the black-eyed beans. I mean, they are just amazing. And now the adult beetles are almost beginning to swarm out of the top. Well, there's one thing I'm beginning to regret, and that is using my daughter's doll's house for this. Oh, what an absolute tip. And the two that have made their nest down at the back of this settee, in theory, if they were to breed there for a year, they'd produce 2,000 mice.
As well as the animals George released into the house, there have been some uninvited guests too. Mould has found its own way in.
The cheese sandwich is almost unrecognisable. If it wasn't for this piece of greenery sticking out, I wouldn't actually know what it was.
These tiny microscopic fungal spores have been carried through the air.
They have now transformed the fruit bowl into the perfect environment for another gatecrasher. Fruit flies, but at least they're helping to clear up. The blowfly maggots will devour this dead rat in a matter of days. And maggots are such efficient cleaners, they've even been used to remove dead tissue in surgery.
The larder beetle have really gone to town on Queenie. Your ears have gone, your nose is gone.
Part of your paws are gone. Oh, you poor thing. Even after 30 years of looking at animals as a zoologist, I'm amazed how quickly they've set up home here.
We may still see them as pests, but they've been around for much longer than we have and are simply taking advantage of free food and a free place to live. Who can blame them?
It's been a fascinating experience, and although I have a great love for these creatures and I don't want to live in a sterile environment, there are limits. So right now, I'm off for a nice hot shower and a good night's sleep in a clean bed.